While we are distracted and arguing about things such as abortion or transgender athletes or whatever, our government is going to work every day. Okay. They are working every day. They're not involved with any of these discussions. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like the media throws out the distractions, and then we go ahead, we take the bait, and they make moves. When Joe Biden came in, when the Biden administration came in 2021, when they started signing all their stuff, I noticed certain words they were using, like equity, and they were really all about, domestic terrorism. They tell you the terrorists have come home. And today we're going to discuss who those terrorists are. The bills that are being written to control you, to take away your freedoms. We're going to start first with this bill, and I have to keep it on this page. These bills are like 1,000 pages long. I don't know. I know they're not reading these bills. This particular bill I have up, it is HR 4350. This has already passed through the House. This bill is like talking about countering extremism and terrorism in like the military, but it also goes into civilians too. The Senate has been talking about getting a military spending bill going, and I think for like $800 billion or something. Everybody's in on this whole military spending bill, and they added amendments to this bill. I have a lot of research to do with this bill because I need to read it word for word. 1801, they're going to spend money to put these offices together, and they're already doing this stuff. Anyway, 1801, Office of Countering Extremism. There's an Office of Countering Extremism in the section referred to as office within the Office of Under Secretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness. The office shall be headed by Director of Countering Terrorism as the director. So you see this? Okay. Who shall be appointed by the Secretary of Defense in consultation with the Secretary of Homeland Security, personnel readiness and secretary, and responsible for policies countering extremism within the armed forces, and coordination with secretaries of military departments, develop and implement programs, is always a program, and resources and activities to counter extremism within the armed forces, establish policies to ensure adequate protection, transparency of process, and availability of resources for individuals who report incidents of extremism, establish policies and ensure adequate protection transfer. Okay. Engage and interact with, solicit recommendations from outside experts on extremists, outside experts, information about procedures on when and how to report detected extremist insider threats, resources for reporting outside the chain of command, media literacy training, whistleblower protections. Such other information may be required by the department, by the Secretary of Defense in consultation with Homeland Security. These people saying that they're going to consult with outside experts on what extremists are. I'm going to tell you what an extremist is shortly, okay? And they're going to train these people. We go back to 1802. They're going to train these people on identifying extremists. You don't think that they're not going to train them on identifying extremist lay people? Yeah, they will. And it's not about you don't think, okay? We need to start, listen, I'm not here to look, anybody who's here who is like, this girl tripping or whatever, you do and feel how you need to feel. That's your right. You can say that I'm tripping or whatever, and I'm being raw and real. And this right here establishes like the option for almost a martial law as far as I'm concerned. I was a civilian employee of the armed forces because I was contracted to the naval base. No, was it Fort Dix? I was contracted to work with the Army for the Afghan refugees. Okay, so there was a time where technically a training like this, I would have to take it, and hey, maybe I see some extremism outside and I have to report it now, This is where this could lead you to. But okay, this bill says too, Congress can relinquish their power to the president of the United States if they want to. Like when it comes to going to war and stuff like that, Congress is supposed to say we're going to war. But in this bill that has passed through the House, they can have oversight on Congress, where the president be like, forget Congress, we're going to war. This bill, HR 350, the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2022. This bill apparently was written by two people who, when it came time to pass the bill, they actually voted against it, apparently. Probably because they realized like we might have handed too much. We might have handed too much power to the federal government. You do not want stuff like this federalized. This is not about military. This is about us people. The Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act of 2022. In this act, the term director means director of the FBI. And, you know, we're learning all this stuff together in real time because before 2021, before 2020, I didn't care about none of this. I cared a little bit, but like, yo, man, I was chilling. I was all the way chilling. And now the government is always on my back as far as I'm concerned, especially as a healthcare worker. You must take this jab in order to keep your job. Like, come on. No, no, my rights are given to me by God. They're going to have offices to combat domestic terrorism. They're going to be the section of the National Security Division of the Department of Justice, which shall be responsible for investigating and prosecuting incidents of domestic terrorism. Such a broad term, which shall be headed by the Domestic Terrorism Council. Didn't even know we had, I guess they're making the council, which shall coordinate with the Civil Rights Division on domestic terrorism matters that also may be hate crime incident, where they're setting this up so we can have a uniform way to combat domestic terrorism. They're gonna make up their own trainings and then they're gonna basically send them out for everybody to know who's a domestic terrorist and what constitutes that. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna have task force. So this is all little programs and that come locally we got to find the domestic terrorists, okay? We got to find the domestic terrorists, all right? It's been all these mass shootings, right? So we have to find the domestic terrorists. Remember, but this is written before that. What are you looking at here? This came out in June 2021. I've been sitting on this information for a minute because I've been like, how am I gonna like really share this with people? This is a little overwhelming. It came out in June 2021. This came out under the Biden administration. And this was, you know, together we must affirm that domestic terrorism has no place in our society. I know. We're gonna make this all circle and it will make it, it should already be making sense. I want you to see here what they consider a domestic terrorist, like in a better view. Of course, racially or ethnically motivated violent extremists with ideological agendas derived from bias, often related to race or ethnicity, held by the actor against others, including giving a population group. Animal rights, environmental violent extremists. I don't even see that happening. So abortion-related violent extremists. With ideological agendas in support of pro-life and pro-choice beliefs. I'm going to stop right here real quick. Senator Warren of Massachusetts was calling, she said that we need to get rid of pregnancy centers. You know what a pregnancy center is? A pregnancy center is a place that a girl goes to when she realizes like, oh my God, I'm pregnant. I can't tell my parents, I don't know what to do. So she goes there and they talk to her about all her options. And guess what? They give her resources. She said those places are terrible and they fool people into thinking that they can keep their children. Okay. And me being a Black woman hearing this and me knowing that abortion really was founded on the basis of eugenics and killing Black babies. So for me to hear Senator Warren say that, come on, who's leading the race in abortion? It is Black women. So what's going on? Why you don't want them to keep their babies? Senator Warren, what's up with that? Seems a little suspect. Anyway, anti-government, anti-authority. DVEs, I guess the person who's the extremist, with ideological agendas derived from anti-government or anti-authority sentiment, including opposition to perceived economic, social, or racial hierarchies, or perceived government overreach and negligence or illegitimacy. Then they also have people, yeah, I love this one right here. DVEs who oppose all forms of capitalism, corporate globalization. The threat categories including combination of personal grievances, beliefs, and potential bias related to religion, gender, or sexual orientation. This right here covers my religion. Okay, that's what happens. So this is what I mean, right? So this is the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. We'll read a little bit here. January 19, 2021, dear members of Congress, on behalf of the Leadership the Leadership Conference on Civil Rights, a coalition charged by its diverse membership of more than 220 national organizations to promote and protect civil human rights in the United States, and the undersigned 156 organization, we write to express our deep concern regarding proposed expansion of terrorism-related legal authority. You hear this? Our deep concern. We must meet the challenge of addressing white nationalists and far-right militia violence without causing further harm to communities already disproportionately impacted by the criminal legal system. The Justice Department, DOJ, including Federal Bureau of Investigation, has over 50 terrorism-related statutes it can use to investigate and prosecute criminal conduct, including white supremacist violence, as well as dozens of other federal statutes relating to hate crimes, organized crime, and violent crimes. The failure to confront and hold accountable white nationalist violence is not a question of not having appropriate tools to employ, but a failure to use the ones on hand. I'm gonna stop right there. This is why you don't ask the government for help, okay? Everybody's screaming, white supremacists, nationalists. And then whoopsies, please don't write no more. Please don't write no more. Like, wait a minute, y'all writing so much, it's gonna put everybody at risk. Well, that's what happens when you federalize too much. That's my point. That's my whole point. Like, they saying white supremacist, white nationalist group. Let me tell you something. I have seen things written when they say like white privilege. White privilege is having a family, values, and believing in property rights. You know how many Black people live like that? You know how many Puerto Ricans live like that? Chinese people. Okay. If you have value in yourself, they call you are now a white supremacist. This is not the same white supremacy from 1968 or 1950. This is not. The white supremacist today has evolved into you and me. You see what they call a domestic terrorist, okay? They call that, I tried to explain it. It's like they're calling that people who have hate crimes towards certain groups. I keep telling people, right? Black people, I'm going to bring this to you because now, when people see that, they're like, oh, yeah, they're doing that for us. No, they didn't say towards Black people. They said towards groups. You don't want the federal government to help you out. You don't, because when they're helping you, run the other way, because what they're doing is they're adding more, surveilling you even more. They're slowly writing away your rights. Yeah. So I keep hearing this thing. Yeah, Black hate crime against Asians, Black hate crime against Asians. And I'm like, I don't call that really a Black hate crime against an Asian when you show me a kook who would kill me too. He would kill me too. You know what I'm saying? Like when I see some egregious, and let me just make this very clear. I'm not saying that it's right either. This is disgusting what I see when I see people pick on groups. There's a bunch of little Black kids outside nowadays, and they're picking on certain groups of people who they know is not going to fight back. And of course, we know it's not all of them, but there's a lot. And I don't like none of it. Grab them up, put them all in jail, okay? Because the streets do not need this kind of criminality in it at all. But they would do it to me too, okay? They will. I don't like the word hate crime. I don't, because what is a hate crime? What is hate speech? It's speech you don't like. Hate speech. Yeah, I've seen people say, have said to me, I've had people say, I don't like her because she's Black, or is she the maid because she's Black? I don't care. Say whatever you want. I don't even care. Don't try to step to me, because then we're gonna fight. But say whatever you want. Don't govern speech, because they're never gonna govern speech just to help you out. They're gonna govern everybody's speech. But dig this, that you see that they're saying religious hate to certain groups. What they call religious hate speech is simply saying, and this is me talking as a Christian, that the Bible says that homosexuality is a sin. I didn't say that. I'm not a sinner, but if the Bible says this, it says this. The Bible says, but the Bible has certain laws in it. It has rules to follow. Of course, we falter all the time, but there are things in it. Sodom and Gomorrah is a real thing. It happened. I'm not trying to make a Sodom and Gomorrah. No, I'm not out here trying to hurt anybody who wants to live their life. But if I'm going to tell you that the Bible says there's man and woman, I just said a hate speech right there, right? I know people who are homosexuals, and they don't need me to give up my values in order for us to be cool, because that's not what it should be about. It's in a paper. They wrote the domestic terrorism strategy, and then they started passing bills. And people be like, right, yay, they're gonna get all, I know how people think. They're gonna get all the MAGA people. And they will get you too, honey. But it's happening. And this is not a conspiracy. I don't even believe in that word anymore. They talk about going into the internet and surveilling people, how they talking, what they're saying. You know why? Because why do you need to do all this? And disinformation, I hate that word. They're holding on to the narrative.